Why did Rupert Grint have to dress like his female school teacher to get the part? How massive was the age gap between Snape in the books and in the movies? And how come Hermione, Harry, and Ginny looked nothing like JK Rowling had imagined them? Hi, I'm Dylan, and you're tuned into Awesome Movies. Ron Weasley. Look, if Rupert Grint hadn't been a redhead, Potterheads would have rioted. So at least the filmmakers got that very important detail right. However, Rupert doesn't have a freckled face, large nose, hazel eyes, or the vividly bright red hair that Ron is described as having in the book. And he isn't particularly tall or gangly either. But none of that matters because he absolutely nailed the character's lovable personality, which is what matters most at the end of the day. In fact, his audition was so good that he made the best first impression possible, practically sealing the deal on the spot. Responding to a newsround casting call, Rupert sent in an audition tape of him rapping about the role while dressed as his female school teacher. After seeing his undeniable talent on display, it wasn't too difficult for the casting directors to make their decision. Good thing that they did, because even if he doesn't look exactly like how JK Rowling envisioned him, there's no one else who could have been Ron quite like him. Sirius Black. In the Harry Potter books, Sirius was described as having filthy and matted hair that hung down to his elbows. His skin was stretched so tight that it made him look like a skull, while his deep-socketed eyes could have belonged to that of a corpse. Yet, when you look at Gary Oldman in the films, he doesn't quite appear that way. Sure, there are some similarities in his appearance here and there, especially in terms of the disheveled part, but you can still spot the handsome and acclaimed actor behind the character. I mean, you wouldn't exactly call him gross now, would you? The thing is, with Gary's pedigree and charisma, he can get away with not exactly looking like Sirius because you know he'll deliver a phenomenal performance no matter what. That being said, he did fool his cast members. At a LeakyCon Dallas event, Tom Felton revealed that he actually mistook Gary for a cleaner on his first day. Talk about being a master of disguise. Hagrid. For the most part, Robbie Coltrane looked exactly how you'd imagine Hagrid if you read the book for the first time. He had wild hair and a larger-than-life presence. However, larger-than-life wasn't quite large enough in this case. In the books, Hagrid is said to be twice as tall and 5 times as wide as a normal man. His hands are the size of trash can lids, and his feet and boots look like baby dolphins. Now that's quite the description. While Robbie is no small man at 6'1", he isn't enormously large either. Heck, if you put him in a lineup with some of the actors who've starred in superhero films, he'd actually look pretty small in comparison. But casting director Janet Hershenson said that Robbie had always been JK Rowling's first choice to play Hagrid, and everyone knows that what Rowling wants, Rowling gets. Though realistically, it would have taken a whole lot of CGI and special effects to turn Robbie into the 11-foot half-giant on screen, and that might have looked a little weird considering the size of the other actors around him. Voldemort. He who must not be named will be named here. Sorry, but we kinda need to talk about Voldemort. You have to give credit where it's due because the makeup team on Harry Potter did an incredible job to make Ralph Fiennes unrecognizable. The famous thespian disappeared into his character, and only the Dark Lord's pale, flat face existed. Even so, there was some creative liberty taken with his character in the movies. In the books, Voldemort is seen as much more snake-like. While you do get a hint of this in the films, it's much more toned down here. Also, the Dark Lord doesn't boast his traditional scarlet eyes, choosing to keep it blue on the screen. Well, this was definitely a decision taken by the filmmakers because Ralph wasn't even aware of the franchise in the first place. During an appearance on the Jonathan Ross show, he revealed that he actually wanted to turn down the part, and it was a family member who changed his mind about it. He said, "I think the clincher was that my sister Martha, who has 3 children who were then probably about 12, 10, and 8, she said, 'What do you mean? You've got to do it.' So then I rewound my thinking. Thank you, Martha. Now if only you told your brother about red contact lenses." Hermione Granger. It's safe to say that everyone thinks Emma Watson is Hermione. You struggle to disassociate the two, especially after Emma took the role and made it her own. While she's perfect in many fans' eyes, she did deviate from the source material ever so slightly. Sure, Emma did have a bossy voice and bushy brown hair in the beginning, but she never had the large front teeth that Hermione boasted in the books. And as the actress grew up, it became evident that she was looking less and less like JK Rowling had imagined her. Still, Emma was determined to get the part, even if it meant she had to audition many times over alongside Muggles. She told W Magazine, "I ended up doing 8 auditions to get my role. I auditioned with maybe 3 or 4 different sets of Harrys. I would just literally sit by the telephone and wait to get a phone call, and sometimes it would be weeks. Well, her determination certainly paid off, and hey, she doesn't have to wait by the phone to get movie offers now." Dudley Dursley. Considering how well Harry Melling played the role of Dudley, most fans forget that he doesn't exactly look like the character from the book. Aunt Petunia might have said he was her baby angel, but Harry Potter felt that Dudley was more like a pig in a wig. Whew! Now that's quite the insult. Regardless, Dudley was meant to have blonde hair that lay smooth on his head and watery blue eyes. In the movies, Dudley had brown hair and blue-green eyes. But no one made too much of a fuss about it because the actor's performance was just that believable. Though Harry does stress that he's nothing like the character he portrayed, he told People, "Everyone does say it's fun to play the baddie, and I do think there's a lot of truth in that. I like to think that I'm not an evil person or malicious in any way. If you look at him now though, you'll struggle to reconcile the man with the child who played Dudley. What a serious transformation." Ginny Weasley. JK Rowling described Ginny as having bright brown eyes and a flaming red mane. Truth be told, actress Bonnie Wright fit the mold for the most part here, except for her green-blue eyes. However, there was one other striking difference, one that most Harry Potter fans will know about. Ginny was meant to look a lot more like her brothers, Fred and George. Now, I don't know about you, but Ginny didn't look anything like her siblings in the movies. Funny enough, Bonnie's road to Harry Potter is actually due to her real-life sibling, Lewis, whom she calls her own Ron Weasley. And it was because of him that she actually auditioned in the first place. During a Dallas Comic-Con panel, she said, "He was a fan of the books, and as his younger sister, he saw me as his Ginny, and we heard they were doing these auditions and they were going to make these books into films. He said, 'You should go and audition for the role of Ginny.' So, there you have it, Potterheads. You actually have Lewis to thank for this casting." Severus Snape. Make no mistake, the late, great Alan Rickman was born to play Snape. He was even on JK Rowling's original shortlist of whom she wanted to play the role before it had even been cast. While Alan personified the professor in every single way and understood the subtle nuances of the character probably better than anyone else alive, there was one teeny tiny difference. In the book, Snape is meant to be around the age of 31. However, in the movies, Alan was already 50 plus by the time he got the role. But hey, age is just a number, right? Interestingly, Alan was also one of the only actors to receive a hint of what his character's future would entail from the author of the series. Rowling revealed to him how important the word always would be to his Snape's development, and how he'd come to shape the Harry Potter franchise in such an impactful way. Talk about trusting someone with the keys to the kingdom. She wanted him to portray the character from the beginning and entrusted him with one of the franchise's biggest secrets. I probably would have blabbed to all my friends. Narcissa Malfoy. While Helen McCrory turned in a fantastic performance as Narcissa, she didn't exactly match how the character was described in the books. For one, Narcissa was described as being much younger, though that's not too dissimilar to the complaint about Alan Rickman's Snape. Second, she was meant to have a full head of white hair, not the half-half appearance in the movies. The reason for the change in hair color was simply because director David Yates wanted Narcissa to look more like her sister, Bellatrix Lestrange. Interestingly, Helen had actually been cast as Bellatrix, but she was forced to withdraw from the role. She told Parade, "I got pregnant with my first child, and insurance wouldn't cover pregnant witches. It was lovely that they invited me back and wanted me to be a part of it somehow. But what would she have looked like as Bellatrix? And who would have been cast in the Narcissa role then?" So many what-ifs to ponder here. Harry Potter. Yes, this is controversial because to a generation, Daniel Radcliffe is Harry. However, that doesn't take away from some changes made to his character. In the novels, Harry is known for two features, his mother's green eyes and his father's disheveled look. In the films, this was absent since Daniel looked a lot more clean-cut and boasted blue eyes. As it turns out, the search to find the right Harry Potter for the screen was an exhausting process, and kids with brown eyes were disqualified immediately. Well, there goes my dream of playing Harry Potter. Director Chris Columbus had his eye, pardon the pun, on Daniel for quite a while, but the actor reportedly wasn't interested. According to the casting director, he didn't want to be an actor anymore. Fortunately, one of the producers knew Daniel's father and managed to reach out to him and convince the young actor to audition. And the rest, as they say, is history. When it comes to the movie business, it won't always stick to the source material. Directors will interpret characters differently and choose stylistic choices that fit their desired aesthetic for the film. Sometimes it works out, other times it doesn't. In the case of Harry Potter, it's definitely the former. But now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Snape should have been younger in the film? And are you disappointed that Voldemort didn't have scarlet eyes? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. And while you're at it, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for some more awesome videos.